can you instill a true, heartfelt sense of gratefulness in your child? In this video, I'm going to tell you 10 things you can do as a parent to encourage your child to feel grateful, which ultimately leads to real happiness in life. Number 1, teach manners. Why are manners so important to having a grateful spirit? One of the first steps to being grateful is thinking outside oneself. A person who has a perspective that is skewed by a lack of understanding of the positions of others cannot possibly be a grateful person. They have to see what others do for them, recognize its value, and behave accordingly. When a child learns to say words and show actions that are thoughtful of others, they can begin to see a perspective outside of themselves. Knowing to say thank you, please, and excuse me are basics to thinking about the feelings and thoughts of others. There are lots of other manners to teach, like not burping in public or opening doors for others, writing thank you notes, and generally being publicly aware of the needs and feelings of others around them. Number 2, use the sandwich method. The words we use around our children can have a profound impact on how they view the world. They form their point of view, a perspective on right and wrong, and an attitude of gratefulness just from the things we say about what is happening in our own environment. But how can we continue an attitude of gratefulness even when confronting problems? The sandwich method is talking about something with grateful or uplifting words first. That would be the bottom piece of bread. The problem and possible solutions second. That would be the meat. And more grateful or uplifting words at the end. That would be the top piece of bread. This gives the children a sense that even though things aren't always the way they should be, there is much to be grateful for regardless of any problems that may come up. This method can be used to discuss just about anything, including their misbehaviors, problems with extended family, church, siblings, and politics. By talking about the good in everything and then pointing out the things that may need improvement, children get a sense of gratefulness for the world around them and their position in it. Number 3, point out blessings. One way to help your child to be generally grateful in spirit and to think about their blessings is to daily talk about the awesomeness of simple things in life, no matter what's happening. Let's look at one example in life, parking your car. When you go into a parking lot and it's full, you can be frustrated or you can choose happiness and therefore gratefulness, no matter what the circumstances. For instance, if you're going to a restaurant and the parking lot is empty, mention how great it is you can park close to the door and get in quickly. If it's full, mention how this must be a really good place to eat if so many people are going there and you can't wait to try their food. You can do this with just about any situation. Think of ways to express the blessings in every circumstance, and your child will start to think this way and to do it naturally. Number 4, say prayers. Teaching your child to have communication with God can really be a big part of creating a mindset of gratefulness. Just the thought of God and how He created the world and how He loves us sets a foundation for joy. When teaching your child to pray, remember to teach them not just to ask for things, but to always add praise and thanksgiving in each prayer. Praise, talking to God about how wonderful He is, and thanksgiving is thinking of specific things to thank Him for. The knowledge that there is a God who loves us and cares about our lives sows seeds of gratefulness and contentment. Number 5, give to others sacrificially. Have you ever wondered why it feels good to give to others? It naturally uplifts us to give, but why is that exactly? Our brains are actually wired to feel good when we do good. Neuroscientists have recently discovered that giving produces endorphins, and endorphins make us happy. Studies have actually found real evidence that we feel a greater sense of happiness when we spend money on others as opposed to when we spend it on ourselves. When we give, we feel joy. When we have joy, we naturally have an attitude of gratefulness. But remember that the giving must really come from them. They must do some kind of sacrifice that they want to do to get that real feeling of joy. For instance, when you go out and buy a gift for them to give to someone else, are they actually going to experience that joy of giving? No, they really aren't. And in fact, they can start to believe giving isn't that wonderful at all because they don't feel that real sense of joy. I suggest you do not do this because it will be harder to instill the joy of giving in your child and therefore harder to instill a sense of gratefulness. Let them either earn money to give a gift or make it themselves. They need to know how much it takes to give a gift in order to be grateful for the gifts they receive and in order to feel the joy of giving. The more they sacrifice in giving the gift, the more joy they will feel, and the more gratefulness they will build into their character. Do not allow overindulgence. Have you ever been to a child's birthday party and they are surrounded by a pile of gifts? They rip open a package, look at it, and throw it aside and reach for the next one. Their parents have to stop them to try to get them to acknowledge the gift and say thank you. They do it grudgingly, as if this brief act of appreciation is in the way of opening the next package. Or maybe they are stuck on one gift that they like so much that they refuse to acknowledge any other gifts or the people who gave them. This is a lesson in ungratefulness. The child has no thought whatsoever of others around them. They're too overwhelmed with the possibilities and completely disregard their guests. Why is this? First, a child who is given too much is not able to process such a large amount of information and excitement all at once. And actually, it would be the same with adults to a certain extent. When any of us gets too much, each individual thing isn't as important. In contrast, when you receive one or two things, each thing becomes much more significant. By limiting the amount of gifts your child receives at birthdays or holidays, you can much more easily teach gratefulness and fend off a belief of entitlement. You can talk to them more deeply about each gift, and they can process the generosity of the givers. Teach them the details of giving a gift. Have you ever received a gift and really thought about all that someone had to do to prepare it for you? Maybe they made it themselves. If they bought it, they had to think about what you would like, consider your wants and needs, your life, your desires. Then they had to search for the perfect thing to fit the bill. They had to purchase it with money they could have spent elsewhere, but sacrificed that money for you. They may have had to wrap it by choosing the wrapping paper or gift bag that it would fit. Did they add a card? They had to take time to look through lots of cards to find the appropriate one, or maybe they gave a handmade one. If it was sent through the mail, they even had to find your address, package it, go to the post office, and possibly stand in line to mail it off and pay for shipping. As an adult, you can recognize all these things that went into that gift you received. You've given many gifts yourself many times, so clearly you know what it takes to go through the process of thoughtful gift giving. Therefore, you can appreciate it and have a natural sense of gratefulness for all that person has done for you. But does your child understand that? Do they have that same experience with giving to others as you do? No, they do not. You can help them by talking through this with each gift they receive and making sure they acknowledge the gift and the giver. They will truly be able to look at the gift, give it thought, feel a sense of gratefulness, go to the giver and thank them wholeheartedly, and feel that joy in receiving it. Teach them to show appreciation. Gifts are only the tangible presents. There are also gifts of time, effort, and energy. Help your child notice the work others put in around them to make their life better. Think about the school teachers, janitors, and school cooks, coaches and youth activity directors, camp counselors, and camp cooks. And at church, what about the Sunday school teacher, the preacher, or the piano player or special music providers? Even those who greet people at the door and take up the offering. Your child needs to recognize what all these people do for them. When they do pay attention to this, they will soon have a real appreciation for it, especially if they are also working to help others and have experienced the amount of time and effort put in to produce classes, camps, and youth events. Mention all these things to your child often. Teach them to remember to periodically thank their teachers at school, their coaches, cafeteria workers, janitors, their Sunday school teachers, and go up to the preacher and shake his hand and thank him too. Doing this will help create the grateful spirit in them that is essential for having an experience of true joy. Don't hop to it. Your child should know that when you take them somewhere, do something for them, provide a service of any kind for them, that it is a gift. They should receive it with gratitude. You will help them learn gratitude if, when they ask you to do something for them, and it is not convenient, you don't hop to it immediately. You don't always rearrange your plans to accommodate theirs. Let them know you have other plans. Talk to them about options and alternative ways to accommodate their request. If it doesn't work out, then it doesn't. If you are able to work it out, you will. The question may be, aren't we supposed to always be there for our children? Yes, in spirit always, in support always, with love and advice always, yes. But we are not supposed to be their maids, servants, or on-call chauffeurs. We should not stop everything at any time if they snap their fingers. By giving them this kind of undue attention and privilege, they see the world in a skewed way, and it creates a sense of entitlement. This does not create gratefulness. There needs to be a balance between showing your child they are important and mean the world to you, while at the same time showing them that they are not the center of the universe. Bored is an ungrateful word. I had to add this little piece of advice. Do not allow your children to rely on you for their entertainment. When my children would come to me with, "I'm bored," my response would be one of two things. "I'm not your entertainment committee," or "bored is an ungrateful word." It didn't take long before my children realized that this wasn't a productive thing to say. A child who is coming to you to remedy their boredom needs to understand two things. First, it's not your job to make sure they are entertained, and they are not entitled to be entertained at all times. Second, that the many toys, games, and books that have already been provided for them are gifts, and to come to you and suggest that these are not good enough is an ungrateful attitude. Do not get angry or punish your children for saying this to you. If you just kindly always use one of those two responses, they will learn it is truth. They don't realize they are being ungrateful. Teach them about this and open their minds to the idea. Let them think about it. Find those less fortunate. When your children see people who have less than they do, they can compare and get an understanding of what true blessings they have in their own lives. Giving time to a shelter, making things to share with neighbors who need help, visiting nursing homes, and even going on missionary trips when possible are all ways for your children to experience this. When you go to these kinds of places with your child, point out how they can help, which will give them a sense of their own capability and value to others, and a sense of gratefulness for the things they have. One of the keys to happiness is giving of oneself to the benefit of others. Giving produces gratefulness. It is also an antidote to depression. And a person cannot be happy unless they are grateful. These things all go hand in hand. Do you have an experience or suggestion to help other parents with teaching their children gratefulness? Or a question about anything that you've heard here? Please write it in the comments below. Also, please remember to subscribe to this channel or like and share this video with others who you believe may benefit. Keep coming back here for more parenting videos. Thanks for watching.